And we are live. Welcome to session number 296 of the Morning Journal. Everybody watching, I'm glad to have you here this morning. The question that we are beginning with is, what do you no longer need but are afraid to let go of? We're just bringing it along. We got Boston Gray here. We got Noble Ancient, Billy Hurley. Let me check. I don't want to call anybody out who's not here. I don't want to conjure up anyone. Warriors here. We got Kaloli, Never Rose, Rebecca, S.O., Misfire, Noble Ancient. Yeah. Johnny, good group of folks here to get our conversation going. I hope you had a great weekend if you're just tuning in. This is, it's Monday morning and we're ready to go. What do you no longer need? What do you no longer need but are afraid to let go of? It's like, if I still got it, maybe I feel like I need it. If I'm still carrying it, maybe I still need it. There might be some extra weight that you're carrying. Maybe there are a few things that you should be able to travel a little bit lighter. All right. Alexa says, as contradictory as it sounds, my eating disorder has been in my life since I was a teenager and has been a bit of a defining part of me. But Wednesday, I'm doing hypnotherapy to get rid of it. It is not uncommon for the issues that we face to become embedded in our identity. And even if it's something that we recognize as something that's harmful to us, we can still hold on to this thing of, who am I without this? Who even am I without this lifelong co-traveler? Billy Hurley says that everything I no longer need, I've moved on from. And as for afraid to let go, nothing at the moment. Billy's like, I'm not carrying nothing extra. Billy's, I ain't carrying no extra stuff. That's a good place to be, Billy. Noble Ancient says, I no longer need conditioned responses, but I'm afraid I don't know how to let them go. Like answering, I'm good, when I'm most likely not so good. I need to figure out how to let those go. That saying off the jump, just reflexively answering, oh, I'm great, That is a sort of a social convention. We're conditioned to reply in that way. All of those little small talk things that we do to make other people comfortable. It's not to say that every time someone asks you something that you need to spill it in full detail. And I guess it kind of goes both ways, you know. Maybe if you're in a habit of just saying and asking someone how they are when you don't sincerely want to know, then maybe stop doing that. Emma, thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate it. And welcome in. So what do you no longer need but are afraid to let go of? So not having those conditional responses, it would force you to face your real feelings. So you said you need to actively figure out different ways to answer. But if you're doing that, then you're just creating new conditioned responses rather than if you're trying to figure out how to answer, then it's going to create more contrived and conditioned responses rather than, you know, just an authentic way of saying what it is that you're feeling or answering the question. And the only thing that is true in how you are doing, right? Because there isn't there's two sides of everything. So even if you're not doing well, there's something that's going well, and you can focus on that. You know? So if you are, if someone asks how you're doing and you're not feeling great, it's still true to say that you're grateful, right? That's a positive thing that you can say that can be true. Geist is here. Captain Phantom Paradox is here as well. Thank you for joining us, folks. Okay. So Johnny says, I no longer need the sadness and dark thoughts that were chasing me during childhood, but I am afraid to lose the child within along the way of letting go. You don't need the darkness, but you're afraid you're going to lose something else by letting it go. It's probably worth imagining that the child in you, if the child in you was sad, they had a hope that you would be happy. So letting go of the sadness is probably honoring the deepest wish of that child who was sad. It's not letting that child go, it's healing that child. But I get it. We cling to our ways of being because it's how we make sense of everything. So Captain Phantom says, anger and hatred for my bullies and how I want to seek revenge on those bullies from high school. You don't need that anymore, but for some reason you can't let it go. You know, those high school bullies can't harm you, but you still have a bone to pick. And if you catch them outside somewhere on site, it's on, huh? Captain Phantom, guys, thank you so much for the likes. I guess you just have to think about how that might be impacting your life now. I got some weird lighting, folks. The sun is coming up, peeking through the window. I need to address that. I'll be right back. All right. So we are ready, I think, to go on to our next prompt. All right, let's take a look at this one, and I will reset the request box. And it's a question about our choices. What choices are leading you away from where you want to go? What choices are leading you away from where you want to go? So Cap is got that check coming in. Gonna get some food for the house. There you go. Yeah, we are back on top for sure. Thank you, Alexis, for that like to help keep us there. So the current prompt, what choices are leading you away from where you want to go? Sometimes we are at odds with ourselves. We are operating at cross purposes with our own intentions. The things that we say we want, we make choices that lead us in the opposite direction of that. So can you identify a choice or some choices that you might be making that are leading you away from where you want to go? And then of course, the natural thing after that is to be like, okay, can we make a different choice here? Alexis Noble, Johnny, thanks for the likes. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Choices that we are making that are leading us away from where we want to go. Johnny says laziness. That laziness sometimes I think laziness, sometimes we just doing it's like a little subtle rebellion against ourselves. But sometimes laziness comes out of an attachment to the outcome. We're afraid it's not going to work out. So we'll like subtly sabotage it, right? By not, it's like the little subtle thing. Oh, I'm gonna half-ass it a little bit. And then we have an alibi. Our laziness can be an alibi so that when it doesn't work out, it wasn't our best efforts that fell short. It was our half-hearted efforts, and we can maintain, a little sense of, we can protect our ego a little bit, because when it fails, our best didn't fail. Our last ditch effort failed, and that's okay. We can still be okay. We can still, So Captain Phantom says, I love writing, and sometimes my mind can get distracted constantly when I get home. My distracted mind choices are terrible for writing my novel. I need someone to keep me on track. So you make bad choices. Distractions lead you to bad choices. One of the biggest antidotes to distraction is managing the environment. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're constantly having to resist something. Make it harder to do the things that you would rather not do. Put some barriers between you and your favorite, your go-to means of distraction. If you can, just make it harder to do the things that you would rather not do, and easier to do the things that will serve you. And sometimes just those subtle tweaks to your environment can make a difference. Taylin? Wow, I don't know how. Taylin? Maybe Taylin. Maybe the X is silent. Anyway, I'm glad that you're here. Enter a nickname. Welcome back. So we're talking about the choices that are leading away from where you want to go. Taylin. It's like, yes, it is silent. Axel J-Man, welcome in, folks. Thank you for joining us this morning. This is prompt number 2. What choices are leading you away from where you would like to go? I guess that also is predicated on you knowing where you want to go. Like, that part is important, figuring that part out. So, procrastination and slow going at it, distractions and redirections could be pieces of this complex puzzle, but procrastination is the key answer. I try, and it hits me again and again. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think we spent like a whole week back at the beginning of the year, or maybe the last week of December, I think we spent a whole week with prompts about procrastination. It's an ever-present problem. Well, it's not a problem. It's a symptom, right? A lot of times our procrastination is evidence of a sense of not feeling safe in the way things are going to work out, you know? It's anxiety about the outcome sometimes that makes us procrastinate. JR is here. Welcome, JR. Thank you for joining us. Guys, thank you so much for the like. Appreciate it. I try to build and my mind stops me and I put it away with little progress. JR's at work, but wanted to show some love. Well, thank you, JR. You at work bright and early this morning. I hope you have a good day. I appreciate you. One of the things I think might be a way to alleviate procrastination is sort of coming to a realization that there are multiple possible positive outcomes. We hesitate to start or to move towards something when we feel like there's only one way to get it right. So it's really hard. Everything feels really high stakes, really all or nothing. It works or not. A lot rides on that, but if you understand that there are multiple possible positive outcomes, then you'll have maybe a little less apprehension about taking the next step. Maybe you'll feel a little less frozen because you have included the possibility that if I keep working on it, no matter how it turns out, there's a way that can be good. So J-Man knocked out the workout and wanted to swing through. Well, it's always great to see you. And I'm glad to know that you are still on that journey. Hi, SO. Thank you for the like. Guess you pop back into consciousness for a second. Ava is here smiling. Thank you for joining us, Ava. Yeah, feeling like you have to get it right the first time. That's definitely a game changer. I know a lot of us have a pretty clear picture of where we ultimately want to go, and we can envision sort of what it's like to be there, but it might be worthwhile to focus our sights on a closer target to begin with, one that is maybe just outside of your reach at the moment. Knowing what the big goal is important, but sometimes we need to spend some time visualizing that process. And, you know, when we're dreaming about our ultimate full potential self, we want to also envision what that process looks like to get there and know that there are going to be some setbacks along the way. So Mo is here. Good morning, Mo. Thank you for joining us. Black hole generators outside. Okay. Nova's like anxiety to the mix. Exactly. that anxiety is just, it's like, it's the thief of dreams. Anxiety is sort of wasting present energy on a future outcome that you don't want. You know, it's burning up your energy focused on a future outcome that you don't want. And it feels like fear, but it's not fear, because fear is like a real and present thing. You know, there's a tiger in the bush. That's fear. Anxiety is sort of a feeling that seems like fear, but it's about something that's in the future that actually can't harm you right now. That you still have multiple opportunities to navigate around. It comes from a story that we're telling about the future. Anticipation is actually a positive energy. You know, anticipation is that feeling before you know something great is about to happen. It's energy with a different type of story. Anticipation actually gives you, when you anticipate something, it means that you believe it's about to happen. So we're getting ready to go on to the next prompt. So I think sometimes we show up in the world as hardaholics. We, for whatever reason, we need to make things as difficult and convoluted as possible. Like, it's not valuable unless you struggle needlessly and endlessly for it. So I'm going to reset the request box, and as we consider this question, where do you get the biggest results from the least effort? And read this here, so go ahead and drop me some green hearts in the chat. The biggest results with the least effort. So that's called leverage, right? You can use leverage to get large outsized results with little or less effort on your part. Use physics. Gather the troops, rally the troops, get help, or operating in a zone of excellence for yourself so that, it's not so difficult. Sometimes we want to be heroes. We want to make the heroic effort just so that we can say that we did it all by ourselves, rather than seeking assistance and allowing others to help you carry the load. Because you got to kind of be around. It's not a sprint. You got to try to conserve some of your energy for the long haul. So think about that. Where do you get the biggest results from the least effort? Johnny says, when you are enjoying every moment. I get that, Johnny. Most of the things that drain us are not in front of us. Most of the things that drain our energy are, tied to stories about the past and the future. So if we can be present then our action can be sort of true and pure, unladen by all of these stories. Sometimes just doing the thing is a lot easier than the torture that we put ourselves through as we tell the story about how hard it is. Alicia, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us this morning. Yeah, so you can conserve your energy by dropping that story and just kind of doing it. The thing itself may not even be that difficult, except that we have a story to tell about it. So Noble says, I get the biggest results from the least effort in my playtest of my projects. Each playtest reveals the tweaks that are needed to be changed to make the game better. My. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Captain Phantom says that when the achievement brings us pleasure and happiness and joy, and seeing our efforts come to life, or come to alive, joy, pleasure, and happiness, finding joy in that process. A light heart effort brings ease and results. You're wholehearted, but you're lighthearted. You don't feel aggrieved by the labor. It's that whole thing of whistling while you work, right? Your attitude, having a positive attitude about it, makes it that much easier to do. You can find a flow state. All right. Let's take a look. One of the most valuable things that we can do as we get ready to face what might be a struggle for us is to acknowledge our growth. We can acknowledge our growth. So let's take this into consideration for a second and think about what is possible for you now that didn't seem possible 3 years ago. It is most useful to measure ourselves based on where we've come from rather than focusing on how far we still have to go. So this is a concept presented by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, the concept of the gap and the gain. When you are measuring the gain, you're measuring where you were and how far you've come. And that's always a positive number. But if you measure the gap, like where you are now and where you hope to go, then that can be a big old bummer. So it's useful to keep in mind, measure your progress from where you were to where you are now. And that'll give you the confidence to take the next step. There's a lot of uncertainty in the gap. And anytime you're operating in an environment of uncertainty, it creates this situation where it's hard to get motivated. when the path is unclear. But there's a lot more certainty in the gain because you kind of know where you've been. So if that is what you are paying attention to, your growth up to this point, then that can give you a little bit of oomph to take that next step. So looking back, what's possible for you now that didn't seem possible 3 years ago? 3 years ago, it's 2019. And if you were to pick any 3-year period, there are a lot of things that are different now. So for Captain Phantom Paradox, it is creative thinking and thinking outside the box and understanding concepts. You feel like you've grown in those areas over the past 3 years. That's good. Those are important parts of, being a writer, developing those skills and capabilities.
Record some ambience and put it in this track.
Noble Ancient says, I have new opportunities, new skills, new techniques, and new adventures that I didn't have 3 years ago. Each new detail grants a bonus to the experiences I encounter in my day. What specifically though? What's one thing specifically? Because it's hard to act in that space of vagueness. I know that's your style of communication, but I don't know how it leads you to your next step. Thank you for the likes, Cap. Appreciate that. Toy Crane is here. So for Johnny, it's being confident in everything that I do and letting go of the fear that I can never be the best. I'm not afraid of this. Maybe how important is being the best anyway, right? Really, you can be the best version of yourself, right? So being confident, it's like, okay, I can handle that. Toy Crane says, knowing if someone truly loves me, is that something that didn't seem possible 3 years ago that seems possible for you now? Is that your answer to this? Kurt Cochane is here and is freezing. Kurt Cochane is freezing up in here. Daddy Rachel, what's happening? It's good to see you this morning. So what's possible for you now that didn't seem possible 3 years ago? Toy Crane says, I didn't know what love looked like 3 years ago. So what is possible for you now that didn't seem possible 3 years ago? So for Johnny, confidence is possible. Recognizing love is possible. For Toy Crane, creative thinking is possible. Okay. I guess there was some sort of shenanigans going along with Rachel's name. I don't know what kind of spoon shenanigans are tied to that, but hey, it is what it is. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do a little quick check-in, sort of midstream or a little more than midstream through with the group that's here right now before we start recapping. Let's just take a second to check into the present and talk about what we notice. And then we're going to go into a recap of today's prompts. Right now I notice. Thanks for the likes. I appreciate that. What do we notice right now? Open up a request box for you so that you can put your responses in there. One thing that I notice is we are moving pretty quickly this morning through the prompts, through the conversation, and I'm not mad about that. We might end a little bit early today, which is cool. I mean, cool with me. I didn't get very much sleep last night. Oh my goodness, it was a struggle this morning. Jupiter, sad guy, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Right now, I notice. We can't let our I don't want to let it get too far. I need to take the time to get everything adjusted and aligned before we're too far gone. So let's take a look at what we notice. Noble says, right now I notice how my body is radiating heat. I work around cleaning chemicals and constantly getting splashed. That's what I noticed. So Noble is noticing chemical burns. Noticing chemical burns. Yikes. Well, at least you notice that you're out here burning up. Johnny, I feel like this was a inappropriate midstream check-in, given Johnny's response about being present, as a way to get the most done with the least effort is by being present and dropping those stories. So right now I notice is a great way to check into the present moment. Rachel says, I noticed that I randomly woke up early, which is a shocker. Well, if you randomly woke up early, then you're probably going to randomly fall back to sleep soon. So I'm glad you came in here for a minute. But ain't nothing wrong with that. We can get jiggy with that. So take a look around, folks. What do you notice right now? I'm really hoping for another day from a weather standpoint, similar to what we had yesterday. Such a beautiful day. Weather was it was really great. I spent most of the afternoon sitting outside. Kurt Cochane says it's too hot for that in my city. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it felt more like March or April than June yesterday over here. Johnny says, right now I notice that I have been complicating life my whole life, and actually there's nothing to realize but living every moment as it is and embracing it. Johnny's noticing the degree to which he has been complicating things. It's a good thing that Kurt is chill since he's in such a hot city. So let's take a second and sweep through the prompts for today. In case you came in a little bit late, this is your opportunity. And I would say go ahead and it'll be on the background to look at later, but go ahead and screenshot it if you want, because the recordings don't always save for some reason. There's some gaps in my timeline. So I'm going to reset the response box and give you an opportunity to share a key takeaway. So the prompts, as they are in order. What do you no longer need that you are afraid to let go of? What do you no longer need that you're afraid to let go of? Oh, this ain't right. I didn't ask about what you miss about the person you used to be. I don't think I asked that. I think, did we skip that one? We skipped that one. Maybe let's go back to that one. I skipped one. I know it seemed like we were going fast. Okay. Hang tight. All right. Let me, sorry if y'all were already writing. I realized I skipped a prompt. Okay. And let's answer this one. What do you miss about the person you used to be? Go ahead and put that in the request box. Or did I change it? Let me take a look. What happened there? Yeah, I just skipped it. What do you miss about the person you used to be? I really like to greet people when they come in, but when they have a username that's not pronounceable, I'm not at a loss. But RL, we can say RL. Thank you for joining us. I hope that things are going well for you this morning. What do you miss about the person you used to be? Welcome back, Toy Crane. Welcome to Spoon RL. So if you are new here, you can use the little mailbox over to the right. There's a little pencil. You can click on that and type your response in that little mailbox, and I can share them with everyone. It's called a request box, but really it's a response box here. Noble Ancient says, I miss taking on adventures at a whim without a second thought. I used to go on adventures and enjoy the results. Now I have to literally plan the adventure. I gotta plan the adventure. Not as spontaneous as you used to be. Have to be more strategic. Kurt Cochane says, I miss not overanalyzing everything. Always analyzing, overanalyzing things. Sometimes in your head is the worst place to be. We have this misapprehension that all that thinking happens just in your head, but thinking happens with your whole body. Your whole body is taking in feedback. Thinking happens outside of your body, in your environment. So the best way to think is to act. Because as long as it's just in your head, it's incomplete. Like, you think with other people. When you do something, when you take an action, the feedback that you get from your environment is a part of your thinking. So as long as you're trapped in your head and you never make any moves, then you're very limited. So Johnny says the carelessness, maybe the carefreeness. I don't know if we miss being careless. I don't know if that's a good thing to be, but carefree maybe. Careless is mean like, you just dropping stuff and breaking stuff. Careless will have you on the streets. Carefree, nah, that's more like it. Not carrying too much. Mango, welcome in. Tell us, what do you miss about the person you used to be? Hello, Milk. Eso says, she loved so easily and so hard without any skepticism. And I miss that. I miss how freely she loved. Yeah, we get marked up, don't we? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and now we can do our recap. Now we can do our recap and take some of the key takeaways from the session. All right, so the prompts. What do you no longer need but are afraid to let go of? What do you miss about the person you used to be? And I guess that kind of talks about something that you let go of that maybe you wish you hadn't. What choices are leading you away from where you want to go? What's the biggest results you can get from the least effort? And what seems possible for you now that didn't seem possible 3 years ago? Possible for you. So, what key takeaways do we have from today's session? Thank you so much for the like. Noble Ancient says that my silver key takeaway from this copper episode is that I know the direction that I need to realign with, and my projects are so unique that I need to get those mistakes to tweak. Thanks. Right. So we're coming down to the last minute for our folks watching on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and all the other places. I'm glad that you stopped through, and I hope to see you again real soon. Peace out.